It's not just my opinion, it's regarded by many that Bach is the greatest musical genius of all time. And in many ways, he was the first composer. He was the first to take musical tones and create an art out of them, and not just music for ceremony or function. In that sense, he was, in a way, a kind of musical scientist in addition to being a craftsman. A scientist in the sense that Bach thought of music as obeying laws of nature, laws of counterpoint, the movement of tones simultaneously. And Bach delved into composition in a way that a scientist might delve into discovering what's possible in nature. And he came out of it by creating these tapestries of moving voices and expressive lines. And there's very few composers who can claim that level of sophistication and beauty at the same time. For me, Beethoven wouldn't be possible without Bach. Beethoven certainly would have agreed with that. He studied the well-tempered clavier very deeply. And Beethoven is doing something very different with his fugue at the end of Opus 110. He's dramatizing the fugal style in a way to fit into a narrative that Bach wouldn't have imagined. Beethoven, there's a kind of serene, almost transcendent quality to his music that you don't hear in the middle or the earlier works. There's a kind of sense of trying to touch something greater than just you or I. And in that sense, he has a lot in common with Bach, who was very much in touch with the divine. Scarlatti was just a contemporary of Bach's, an exact contemporary. And although they lived in the same span of time, they couldn't be more different in other ways. Scarlatti is extroverted. He wrote music for a princess to put on display. He uses harmony in a very different way, in a way that actually anticipates the classical era and the classical style. So it's a nice juxtaposition to situate Scarlatti next to Bach, especially in some of Bach's densest, most sophisticated and intricate works of counterpoint, like the B-flat minor fugue, for example, which for me is one of his supreme achievements. By the time Ravel was writing fugues, a lot had happened in the world. And there was a lot more self-consciousness in music and music making. He wrote Le Tombeau de Couperin during World War I, and it was at a period of time when it seemed like modernity was collapsing in on itself. And there was a sense that everything had gone downhill since the French Revolution. And so this fugue is part of a greater set of works which owe themselves, which are an homage to earlier 18th century music, courtly French music, of the kind that actually Bach was inspired by too. And Ravel's fugue is as pristine and intimate and subtly expressive as music can be. And by the time Ravel is writing a fugue, there's a sense that much had been lost in music history, and he was trying to recover it with these acts of memory and nostalgia.